Discover incredible transformation. Small steps to fulfill God's miraculous plan every day. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Moses stood on the rugged slopes of Horeb, a mere shepherd tending the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro. The sun cast its warm glow upon the landscape, illuminating the thorny brush and dusty trails, while the scent of dry earth and sage hung heavily in the air. The ancient mountain loomed in the distance, a revered place of mysteries, whispered of in the stories of his forefathers. Suddenly, the silence was charged, flickering with a strange energy that seemed to pulse between heaven and earth. As Moses led his flock to pasture, he felt the weight of his ancestry, a mosaic of struggle and identity. A Hebrew by birth but raised Egyptian, he wrestled internally with loyalty and purpose. As he gently parted a thorny branch, a flicker of crimson caught his eye. The sight of a bush ablaze but unconsumed gripped his spirit, awe washing over him as he approached, heart pounding with anticipatory dread. "Moses! Moses!" The voice erupted like thunder, yet it resonated with a sweetness that stirred his very soul. "Here I am," he stammered, drawn by the gravity of the call. "Remove your sandals, for the place on which you stand is holy ground." Following this command, Moses obeyed, his feet bare against the earth, feeling both the vulnerability of man and the assurance of divine presence. "Mighty God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob," he uttered, trembling as reverence enveloped him. The air thickened, and then God spoke, unveiling an urgent message pulsing with righteousness and the promise of freedom. "I have seen the affliction of my people in Egypt. I have heard their cries, and behold, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my children out of Egypt." Terror gripped Moses as uncertainty flooded his mind. "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh?" His voice trembled, steeped in insecurity. Yet a reassurance cascaded around him. "I will be with you." The promise thundered in his soul, followed by miraculous signs foretold. A staff that turned to a serpent, a hand made whole. Before this moment, Moses had never envisioned himself as an agent of change. Days passed heavy with doubt as he wrestled with assigned purpose, standing at the foot of his calling, a personal Goliath overshadowing him. How could he confront the mightiest ruler? How could he shepherd a people sinking deeper into despair? Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's Word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's Word speaks to hearts across generations. Now, let's continue with what the Lord did next. As he stood amid the flickering shadows of the burning bush, a compelling force urged him to step forward. Fear battled with longing, the heart of a man wrestling with the whispers of destiny. What if he was meant to be a vessel of liberation? The horizon stretched ahead, shimmering with possibilities unseen, and he teetered on the precipice of change. The ground beneath him throbbed with divine urgency, pulling him toward a narrative far greater than his doubts. Here lay the crossroads of his life, and as the flames danced, they ignited a spark of hope within him. Perhaps, just perhaps, he was being summoned to fulfill a destiny woven into the very fabric of the cosmos. Little did he know, the journey ahead would demand everything and yield the most extraordinary transformation, igniting a fire in a nation that would echo through the ages. As the embers of revelation flickered in the air, Moses' heart beat fiercely within his chest. The weight of the mandate settled upon him like a mantle, heavy yet rich with promise. "Lord," he breathed, suddenly fearful of the enormity of the task, "what shall I tell them if they ask your name?" The voice of God, resounding with authority yet laced with compassion, enveloped him anew. "I am who I am. Say to the children of Israel, I am has sent me to you." Each word penetrated the depth of Moses' being, igniting within him clarity amidst confusion. With trembling hands he grasped the staff, a mere stick transformed into a symbol of divine power. God continued, revealing further signs. "You shall perform wonders that will display my glory and make the hearts of the Egyptians tremble." As the revelation washed over him, Moses grappled with the enormity of this task set before him. His spirit wrestled with doubt while the horizon hinted at the first rays of his purpose. The cries of the Israelites echoed in his mind, stoking a fire within his heart. "But what if they do not believe me?" he questioned, his voice barely above a whisper. "Cast your staff to the ground," the Lord commanded. And obediently, Moses let the staff fall. In an instant it became a serpent, its body writhing upon the earth, an embodiment of change and danger. "Grip its tail," God instructed, and as Moses did, the serpent once more became a staff. "This shall be a sign to the people, for they will know the power I have bestowed upon you." Yet doubt still lingered, weighing heavily upon him. "O Lord, I am not eloquent. I am slow of speech." Fear of inadequacy threatened to silence his already trembling lips. "Who made man's mouth?" came the divine retort, firm yet tender. "I will be with your mouth, and will teach you what you shall say." The promise suffused his spirit with burgeoning courage. It was not his own strength that would lead, but the everlasting presence of God guiding his every word. In that sacred moment, Moses could feel the interplay of promise and fear. "Send someone else," he pleaded, clinging to the vestiges of his reluctance. Yet the anger of the Lord flared against him, illustrating the deep urgency of the mission. "Aaron, your brother, shall be your mouth. You shall be as God to him, and he shall speak to the people." The weight of divine purpose pressed upon Moses as he prepared to embark upon the path of uncertainty. He turned to take his steps away from the mountain of encounter, the flickering flames of the bush still alive in his heart, emboldened by the assurance of God's presence. Days passed as he journeyed back toward Egypt, each step bespeaking the seismic shift in his identity from shepherd to liberator. The sun dipped below the horizon, and anticipation curled around his thoughts like the smoke of the burning bush. Arriving in Egypt, he was filled with trepidation, but also a resolute faith began to crystallize within him like the morning dew. He would confront Pharaoh, he would speak the words of the Lord, he would lead them home, for God had promised. What he could not yet fathom was that this journey would herald plagues yet unimagined, encounters steeped in divine authority, and a deliverance that would become the bedrock of a new covenant, shaping the future of generations to come. And as Moses prepared to face the king, a shadow lingered over the land, whispering of giants yet to fall, and a deliverance that would echo through the annals of time, revealing the depths of God's sovereign plan. A plan unfurling toward an exodus that would change the course of history forever. Moses stood at the threshold of Egypt, his heart racing in rhythm with the destiny that loomed ahead. The city was a cacophony of sights and sounds, the air thick with the bitterness of oppression. The cries of the Israelites rang in his ears, a haunting reminder of his purpose. With firm resolve, he sought out Aaron, his brother, and found him among the people, wearing the weight of the burden that had long rested upon the shoulders of the Israelites. As their eyes met, a spark ignited between them, a unity forged in divine purpose. "Moses," Aaron said, anticipation gleaming in his eyes, "what did the Lord declare? What are his commands?" "God has sent me to lead our people out of bondage," Moses replied, feeling the gravity of the words pass through his lips. "He has promised to accompany us, to perform signs that will compel Pharaoh to release his children." Aaron nodded, a mixture of excitement and fear shadowing his face. "Then let us gather the elders of Israel and declare the Lord's word. They need to know they have not been forgotten." So they gathered the elders under the covering of an olive tree, the moon casting silver light upon their anxious faces. Moses spoke, his voice steady yet humble, sharing the covenant promise of deliverance and the signs he would perform. The God of your fathers has met with me. He hears your cries. This is a time of action. He will bring you out of this land." The elders listened closely, their hearts stirring with hope. "What signs will you show us, Moses?" they questioned, yearning for reassurance. With trembling hands, Moses performed the signs as instructed by God. The serpent, the leprous hand, and the water turned to blood. Each act propelled by faith, each act a testament to divine authority. The spirit of expectation rose amidst the elders, and they bowed in worship, their belief igniting a flicker of faith as they whispered, "The Lord has indeed visited his people." But word of their gathering spread, reaching the ears of Pharaoh, who ruled with an iron fist. Filled with contempt, he summoned Moses and Aaron to his court. The palace loomed ominously with its gilded ceilings and oppressive air. "Who is this Lord that I should obey him?" the Pharaoh sneered, eyes widening with arrogance. "I know not this God, nor will I let Israel go." With his heart pounding in his chest, Moses spoke boldly. "Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness." The air crackled with tension, and the king dismissed them with a wave of his hand, his laughter echoing off the cold stone. "You have troubled the people. Henceforth they shall gather their own straw and make bricks. Their labor shall increase, and they shall despair." As Moses and Aaron exited the palace, they encountered the very ones they wished to free, eyes filled with confusion and sorrow, rebuking them for bringing upon them this new burden. The bitterness of despair weighed heavily upon Moses, and he turned to God in anguish. "Lord, why have you brought this trouble upon them? Why have you sent me?" The heavens offered no immediate answer, but the still, small voice of the Lord resonated through his spirit. "Moses, you shall see what I will do. For I will stretch out my hand against Egypt with great judgments, and I will bring forth my people by my mighty arm." In that moment, Moses understood. God was orchestrating a divine plan, one layered in mystery, that transcended his understanding. With renewed determination, he embraced the calling ahead, knowing the darkness would be dispelled by the light of deliverance. Yet, as the shadows deepened over Egypt, the path to liberation remained shrouded in uncertainty, hinting at greater trials and deeper revelations yet to unfold. All part of the divine tapestry God was weaving to demonstrate his glory and fulfill his purposeful promise. Moses stood at the edge of despair, the weight of Pharaoh's words pressing heavily upon his heart. Yet, in the quiet of his anguish, a flicker of divine encouragement began to rise. He understood now that the Lord had not abandoned them, even in the face of bitterness and increased toil. As the sun sank low, casting shadows over the land, Moses turned to Aaron resolutely. "Gather the people," Moses commanded. "Let us share our burden with the God who sees and hears. He is our hope and our strength." Aaron hurried to those within the camp, and word spread swiftly among the Israelites. The people gathered, their faces etched with fatigue but also with a glimmer of renewed purpose as Moses spoke to them with passion. "Brothers and sisters, the God of our fathers has not turned away from us. He has heard our cries. He has promised deliverance, and we shall see his mighty hand at work. He will bring us forth from this land of pain." The murmurs among the people grew, and slowly but surely they lifted their voices in praise. Hope began to blossom in their hearts like the dawn breaking over a long night. "But how shall this be?" one elder questioned, voice trembling. "For the Pharaoh's heart is hardened. He will not easily let us go." Moses grasped the staff in his hand, its familiar weight a reminder of God's promise. "The Lord has commanded us to perform wonders before Pharaoh, and through these signs we shall testify of his power." And thus the days turned into nights as Moses and Aaron stood before Pharaoh once more, ready to deliver the words of the Almighty. The air was charged with a divine expectation as they approached the throne. "Behold," Moses proclaimed, "the Lord God of Israel demands, 'Let my people go.' for if you refuse, your land shall be struck with plagues." Pharaoh's face darkened with fury and pride. "I know not this Lord, nor do I fear him. You shall not have the freedom you seek." With that, he turned his back, dismissing the servants of God as mere swindlers. Yet Moses felt within him a stirring. It was no longer despair that held sway in his heart, but a fervent commitment to fulfill the call upon his life. As the Lord had foretold, the first of the signs was at hand. Moses, trembling yet obedient, stretched out his hand in the sight of Pharaoh, and in an instant the river turned to blood. The water became foul, the fish perished, and the stench wafted through the land. Yet still, Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he would not relent. As days followed, each sign intensified: a swarm of frogs, gnats from the dust, flies that filled the houses of Egypt. Each time Pharaoh's heart remained unmoved, and he turned back to his people, defiantly proclaiming their continued labor. Moses, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what lay ahead, returned to the Lord in prayer, seeking guidance. "Lord, how much longer must your people suffer? When will they be free?" The Lord spoke gently yet firmly. "Moses, each sign is a blow against the gods of Egypt, a testament to my sovereignty. I will show both them and you the depths of my power." With newfound courage, Moses declared to the people, "Trust in the Lord your God, for he is accomplishing something great in your midst. The end of our suffering draws nigh." Yet, as darkness filled the skies and despair threatened to drown their spirits, little did they know God was weaving not only their deliverance but preparing a lesson for future generations, teaching faith amidst trials and the power of unwavering hope. Moses felt the weight of his calling anew. What he now perceived was a glimpse of a greater plan, a divine revelation unfolding in each act of judgment. God was indeed preparing to strike a blow that would echo through eternity, a promise that could not fail. The time was drawing near, and with each passing moment, the stage was set for greater revelation and deliverance, where the God of miracles would show his glory in ways unseen, fulfilling his covenant promise in a startling way. Would their faith endure until the final act was revealed? The answer lay just beyond the horizon of divine history. And it came to pass that as the sun rose over the land, a thick darkness enveloped Egypt. The air was laden with tension, a palpable silence settling upon the hearts of men. The Lord spoke again to Moses, saying, "Behold, I shall bring one final and great plague upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. After this he shall surely let you go. When he does, do not hesitate, but go forth swiftly, for my hand will have been heavy upon this land." Moses relayed this message unto Aaron, who gathered the people with a solemn assembly. They stood as one, fear mingling with a fervent hope, for they knew the hour of deliverance approached. "Tonight," Moses proclaimed, "the Lord will pass through the land of Egypt and strike down every firstborn, both of man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt will he execute judgment. The blood of the Lamb shall be a sign for you. When the Lord sees the blood, he will pass over you and not allow the destroyer to come in and strike you down." The people listened, their hearts pounding with the weight of the command. They trusted Moses, for he had led them thus far with the mighty hand of God behind him. Each family prepared for the sacrifice, taking an unblemished lamb, a creature without defect, and a symbol of their covenant with God. "Eat it with bitter herbs," Moses instructed, "for these represent the bitterness of our bondage, and with unleavened bread we shall not waste time, for we are being called out of this land into the promise of freedom." That night, the Israelites gathered in their homes, the blood smeared across their doorposts like a heavenly mark of protection. Hope mingled with fear as they remembered the words of their leader. As the moon hung full and bright, the cry of anguish filled the land of Egypt. From the palace of Pharaoh to the humble dwellings of the common folk, the wails of mourning pierced the night, echoing the depth of sorrow wrought by the hand of God as he moved in judgment against the stubbornness of Pharaoh's heart. And in that dark hour, as sorrow overshadowed Egypt, there was a great and holy wonder among the Israelites. The Lord had kept his promise. They felt the power and presence of God among them, a protective shield, an assurance of their exodus. Pharaoh, rising from his slumber, was overwhelmed by despair. He summoned Moses and Aaron, his face pale with fear. "Rise, go out from among my people, both you and the children of Israel, and go. Serve the Lord as you have said," he cried. "Take your flocks and your herds as you have said, and be gone. And bless me also." As the Israelites prepared to leave, the stirred hearts among them echoed with the weight of generations' promised deliverance. They gathered their unleavened dough and their treasures, making haste as they left the land of bondage behind. The streets were filled with a new urgency, and even those who had enslaved them gave gifts, yearning for their departure to ease the shadow of guilt and grief. Moses looked upon his people as they moved with fervor, realizing that the time of trial had birthed a new faith within them, a faith that declared salvation was nearer now than ever before. God's sovereign hand was guiding each step, and with it a new identity was forged in the hearts of the Israelites as they became a people of covenant and promise. Yet in the heavens a profound silence lingered, as all creation held its breath, awaiting the unfolding of a greater mystery. For the Lord, in his infinite wisdom, knew that what lay ahead was not merely deliverance from Egypt, but the foundation of a new nation destined to reveal his glory among the earth. What would become of this people whom he had called his own? The answer awaited in the unfolding drama of redemption, and it came to pass that the people of Israel, emboldened by the miraculous deliverance wrought by the hand of the Almighty, ventured forth from the land of Egypt. With the dawn breaking, they stepped into the light of a new day, the chains of bondage falling away with every stride they took towards freedom. The air was filled with the cries of joy mingled with the echoes of grief from the land they left behind. Moses led them with the commands of the Lord, guiding his every step. The children walked eagerly, their faces lit with hope, while the elders murmured words of remembrance and gratitude for the promises fulfilled. The joyous anticipation filled their hearts. Could it be that the Lord had truly set them free? As they made their way through the desolate wilderness, the Lord spoke unto Moses again, saying, "Consecrate to me all the firstborn. Every firstborn male among the people of Israel, both of man and livestock, is mine. This shall be a sign for you, that when you have entered into the land which I swore unto your fathers, you shall remember this day, and instruct your children concerning my faithfulness." Moses turned to the congregation, his voice rising above the murmurs. "Remember this day in which you went out from Egypt, from the house of bondage. For by strength of hand the Lord brought you out of this place. No leavened bread shall be eaten. This day you are to go forth in the month of Abib." With fervor the people responded, "We will remember. Our children shall be taught the great works of the Lord among us." And so, as the Israelites traveled through the wilderness, they began to form communities, learning to rely on one another and share their burdens. The Lord was with them, providing their needs as he had promised. Manna fell from heaven to sustain them, and their thirst was quenched from a rock that gushed forth water, a sign of his unfailing provision. Yet, in the midst of their journey, doubt would sometimes rise in their hearts. They would ask, "Is the Lord among us or not?" They longed for the familiar comforts of Egypt, forgetting the bitter bondage they had endured. Then the Lord, knowing their hearts, summoned Moses to the mountain, saying, "I shall give you my law, that you may instruct the people in righteousness, setting before them the paths of life. They shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine." As Moses ascended the mountain, he was enveloped in a cloud of glory. There God inscribed the commandments on stone tablets, a covenant of love and obedience, a guide for his chosen people. When Moses returned, a radiant glow shone upon his face. The people gazed in awe as he brought forth the words of the Lord, proclaiming, "These are the laws of the covenant that shall govern you, and lead you into the land I promised to your fathers." Yet, amid the joy of the revelation, an ominous shadow loomed on the horizon. The people, growing impatient, began to tremble, demonstrating a breach of trust, for they fashioned an idol of gold. Moses, witnessing this grievous sin, cried out in anguish, "O people, have you forgotten the wonders of the Lord? How he brought us out of Egypt's grasp to bring us into his favor." In that moment, the Lord, in his righteous anger, considered destroying the people. But Moses interceded earnestly, beseeching the Lord, "Remember your covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Let not your wrath consume this people." And the Lord, in his mercy, relented from destruction, teaching both Moses and the nation a profound lesson in unforgiven grace, revealing that even amidst their failures, his sovereign plan could not be thwarted. What lay ahead for this wandering people who were learning to trust? What future awaited them in their quest for true identity? For a nation born not only to escape bondage but to embody the very glory of God was being crafted before their eyes. The unfolding tapestry of his divine purpose was just beginning to reveal its threads of eternal hope. And it came to pass that, after the shadow of idolatry had lifted, the Lord spoke to Moses once more from the depths of the mountain, saying, "Gather the children of Israel together, that I may speak unto them my statutes and judgments, and they may know the ways I require of them." Moses, filled with the spirit of faith, descended from the mountain, the tablets in his hands glowing with the glory of the Lord. He gathered the people at the foot of the mountain, and as they assembled, a sense of reverence fell upon them, akin to a hush over the tumultuous sea. "Behold the word of the Lord," he proclaimed, "for he has brought us out of the land of Egypt to be unto him a holy nation." He raised the commandments before their eyes, declaring, "These are the laws that will set you apart, guiding you in the way of righteousness. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, and with all your might." The faces of the people reflected uncertainty mixed with resolve as they listened. They answered in unison with voices trembling but determined, "All the words that the Lord has spoken we will do. We shall walk in his way." Yet the Lord, knowing their hearts, addressed Moses again, saying, "Go unto the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow. Let them wash their clothes and be ready for the third day. For on that day I will come down upon Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people." Moses, filled with awe, obeyed the mandate of the Lord. He instructed the people to gather their hearts, to fast and prepare, for something great was about to unfold. They washed their garments and abstained from their comforts, each one feeling the weight of anticipation. On the morn of the third day, a great thunder sounded and lightning illuminated the sky. A thick cloud enveloped the mountain, and the very earth began to quake. The people trembled, and fear gripped their hearts as they beheld the majesty of the Lord revealed before them. The sound of a trumpet grew louder, piercing the atmosphere as Moses led the people closer to the base of the mountain. With trembling hearts, they stood as witnesses to the power of God's presence. Then the Lord spoke, his voice like rolling thunder, declaring his sacred commandments. "You shall have no other gods before me," echoing through the valleys and into their souls. Moses, hearing the voice of the Lord, fell upon his face, filled with reverence. He felt the weight of intercession for his people as they quaked with fear. The Lord said to him, "Do not be afraid, for I come to test you, that you may fear me and not sin." Yet some among them, driven by anxiety, withdrew and remained at a distance. They clamored to Moses, saying, "Speak to us, lest we die." Moses reassured them, "Fear not, for God has come to test you, to instill his fear in you that you may not sin." Then, with a calmness that transcended the tempest, Moses returned to the people and instructed them in the words that the Lord had spoken. As the commandments were etched upon the hearts of the people, the Lord's presence lingered, a divine mystery unfurling before their eyes. The covenant was both a gift and a challenge, a call to rise above their past failures and to step boldly into the promise of the land flowing with milk and honey. In the days that followed, the people would learn to weave the truth of God's law into their daily lives, forging a new identity rooted in holy obedience. Yet a question lingered in the hearts of many. How would they maintain fidelity in a world strewn with temptations, and would they truly be the light unto the nations? As they gathered close, a realization settled upon them, that their journey was not merely toward a promised land, but toward everlasting fellowship with their Creator. The path stretched ahead, laden with trials and triumphs, and the rhythm of the Lord's faithfulness would guide their steps. Thus, the saga of this covenant people was intertwined with the divine tapestry of God's sovereign plan, ever unfolding as they sought the face of the Lord. What new revelation awaited them amidst their wanderings? For the Lord had spoken, and His voice would lead them to yet unexplored depths of grace and glory. And it came to pass that Moses, with the people gathered around him, began to recount the words of the Lord, still echoing in their ears. "You shall not make for yourself a carved image, nor any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth." He spoke with a voice steady and clear. The children of Israel listened, their hearts reverberating with the profound significance of each commandment, as if the very fabric of their existence was being rewoven. As he continued, the mountains trembled, and shadows danced upon the ground. "For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing steadfast love to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments." The weight of these words sunk deeper into their hearts, a reminder of the promise and peril intertwined within their covenant with the Almighty. Moses, sensing the turbulence within the hearts of the people, encouraged them further. "Come near to the Lord, for He desires to dwell among you. He is not far from any one of us. He walks with you as a flame by night and a cloud by day." Yet the thoughts of ancient burdens loomed. Several among them whispered to one another, fear paralyzing their hearts. "Can we truly follow such commandments? Look at our past. Will we stumble in our frailties?" They feared the mountain would cleave in two, witness to their inadequacies. In that moment, the Lord's voice rumbled forth again, resonating across the trembling ground. "You are a people of my possession, called to be separate, a light to the nations. I shall bring forth warriors from your ranks, not by the strength of your hands, but by the might of my Spirit." Moses rallied the assembly, saying, "Remember who you are. You were once enslaved, but now the Lord has redeemed you, sending you forth to proclaim deliverance. Each of you carries the promise." His voice grew bolder, and the people drew closer, the dread giving way to hope. The Lord spoke again. "You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor, nor covet what is your neighbor's." With each command given, the heartbeat of the congregation matched the rhythm of divine expectation, a bond forming stronger than any they had known. Then Moses ascended once more unto Mount Sinai, drawn deeper into the divine embrace, and there, amidst the roaring elements and the shimmering glory, the Lord conveyed further wisdom. "Write these words, for I shall establish my covenant with you, and in it shall be the paths of life and death. Choose life that you may live." Moses, standing before the divine luminescence, beheld mysteries yet untold. The longing of the Lord was to dwell among His people, to make them a kingdom of priests, a holy nation. As the days dwelt upon them, the atmosphere shimmered with anticipation, for the people felt the foundations of their very souls being laid anew. They were called to be bearers of a legacy, not just for themselves, but for generations to come. Amidst this transformative moment, an unseen force stirred, subtle but potent. Distrust and complacency lingered like shadows amongst the camp, waiting to strike at the heart of their resolve. And with every new day, Moses would descend from the mountain with tablets in hand, yet even as he bore the law, another truth hid in the shadows of their hearts. A greater covenant awaited fulfillment. Would they remain steadfast, or would they falter like the grasses that wither with the day? Thus, as the clouds of doubt loomed, the children of Israel stood on the precipice of choice, ready to either embrace the future the Lord had promised or succumb to, wandering in doubt. The next chapter of their journey lay before them, fraught with peril, yet brimming with hope, for what they could not yet see was the unfurling of a glorious plan, an unalterable purpose in the heart of God. What would this covenant truly bring forth in the days to come? For within them lay the promise of an everlasting legacy, yearning for discovery and fulfillment. And it came to pass, while Moses lingered on the mountain, the people of Israel grew anxious in his absence. They murmured amongst themselves, their voices rising above the soft winds that swept across the barren land. "What has become of this man, Moses? Has he perished within the clouds? Who will lead us now?" They questioned, their hearts sinking deeper into uncertainty. Then arose a leader from among them, a man named Aaron, brother to Moses. "Gather unto me your gold, your earrings, and all that glitters, and I will make you a god to go before you," he declared, his voice echoing their fears. The people, seeking a tangible force to guide them, willingly cast off their ornaments and laid them at Aaron's feet. As he smelted the gold, the fire ignited with fervor and eroded their trust in the unseen God. From the molten metal he fashioned a calf, a graven image that reflected the gods of the nations surrounding them. "These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up from the land of Egypt," Aaron proclaimed, and the people rejoiced before the idol, offering sacrifices and shouting, "These will lead us." Yet, on Mount Sinai, the Lord spoke to Moses, his voice vibrant with righteous anger. "Go, descend quickly from this mountain, for your people whom you brought up from the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly from the way I commanded them. They have made for themselves a golden calf and worshipped it." Moses' heart was grieved, and he descended with haste, carrying the 2 tablets inscribed with the very words of God. His spirit burned with the fury of betrayal as he drew near the camp. The sounds of revelry reached his ears, a cacophony mocking the holiness that the Lord demanded. He beheld the calf and the dance, and the fire within him ignited. With great fury he cast the tablets from his hands. They shattered upon the rocky ground, and the sound echoed over the hills like a heavenly lament. The people froze in shock, their hearts cast between fear and disbelief. Moses turned to Aaron, his voice filled with a mixture of anguish and astonishment. "What has this people done to you that you have brought such a great sin upon them?" Aaron stammered in reply, "Do not let the anger of my Lord burn hot. The people are set on evil. They said to me, 'Make us gods.' I cast the gold into the fire, and out came this calf." Seeing the madness, Moses stood at the entrance of the camp, calling out, "Whoever is for the Lord, come to me." The sons of Levi gathered around him, and he commanded them, "Take your swords, and slay each of their brothers, companions, and neighbors." The fear of the Lord fell upon the people, and 3,000 of them fell that day, victims of their disobedience. With the blood of sacrifice lingering in the air, Moses pleaded with the Lord, "Oh, this people have sinned a great sin. But now, if you will forgive their sin, forgive it. But if not, I pray, blot me out of your book which you have written." The Lord replied, "Whoever has sinned against me, I will blot him out of my book." Moses returned to the mountain with humility, seeking once more the glory of God. "Yet, I beseech you, show me your ways, that I may know you and find grace in your sight." The Lord spoke, "I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before you." Thus the Lord revealed part of his glory, preparing Moses for a mingled path of fidelity and mercy. The covenant was at stake, and the people's future hung in the balance. As this solemn moment unfolded, the hearts of the people began to pulse with a renewed awareness of their frailty before a holy God. The shattered tablets lay beneath their feet, a stark reminder of the grace that covered their transgressions. In this decisive hour, the shadow of doubt began to recede as God prepared to establish his covenant anew, even amidst their wanderings. Yet within the depths of his sovereign plan lay the promise not just of judgment, but of redemption, the unfolding destiny that would reveal a path set for them and for all generations to come. What, then, would this renewed covenant unveil? For in their brokenness the seeds of transformation were being sown, preparing for the glorious day when all would behold the wonders of his faithfulness. And it came to pass that, after the weight of the people's sin had been felt, the Lord spoke to Moses on the mountain once more. "Carve out for yourself 2 new tablets of stone, like the first ones, and I will write upon these tablets the words that were on the first tablets, which you shattered." In this divine moment the Lord's mercy intertwined with justice, offering a chance for renewal and reconciliation. Moses obeyed, his heart steeled by the grace that sought them even in their waywardness. He etched the stone under the watchful gaze of the Almighty, as clouds churned around the mountain, clouds of glory, a testament to God's presence. The beauty of the moment was tinged with humility, for Moses understood that the purpose of this covenant extended beyond mere law. It signified God's intimate connection with the people he had chosen. "Go with my words, and teach the people my statutes once more," the Lord commanded, sending Moses down the mountain with a renewed spirit. He descended with a heart rekindled by the flame of divine compassion, ready to weave back together the threads of shattered faith. The Israelites gathered around as their leader approached, and the radiance upon his face reflected the very glory of God. As he spoke, the commandments resounded like a fresh spring of water, flowing deep into the souls of the people. "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength," Moses declared, and an echo of affirmation arose from their ranks. "These words shall be upon your hearts. Teach them diligently to your children." Thus, Moses established a covenant once more, the pillars of their identity rooted in love and obedience, crystallizing a profound understanding that through the commandments they were called to be a light unto the nations. The shadows of the golden calf moved away as hope blossomed anew. Yet it was in the wilderness that a deeper lesson awaited them, one that would etch upon their hearts the significance of faith in their dependence upon God. As they journeyed through the vast desert, the lessons of hardship began to weave a rich tapestry of trust. "Remember, my people, the Lord your God who led you through the wilderness for these 40 years, Moses admonished, his voice intertwining with the winds of change. "He humbled you and tested you to know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or not." With these words, a solemn reminder laid before them. Their physical journey mirrored the spiritual wilderness to which they were called, a pursuit of righteousness that would refine them as gold in the fire. As the tent of meeting was erected and the glory of God descended like a cloud, the people realized they were being molded into a covenant community, a beacon of divine truth, set apart for the sacred purpose of revealing God's glory on earth. They witnessed the daily provision of manna, miraculous enough to quell their hunger, a promise that God would supply all their needs according to his riches. Time unfolded, and their steadfastness grew, yet the struggle remained. As they approached the borders of the promised land, they sent spies to survey the land flowing with milk and honey. But fear clouded their vision, and the report returned sown with doubt. "The land is indeed plentiful, but the giants, we cannot conquer them." They trembled and despaired. Moses, with courageous faith, rose to calm the tempest within them. "Fear not, the Lord is with us. They are but bread for us. Their protection has departed from them." Courage ignited in the hearts of Caleb and Joshua, yet the voices of despair drowned them out, revealing the deeper battle that lay ahead, a battle of faith against fear, of obedience against hesitation. And so it was that the Lord decreed that their journey would be prolonged, teaching them the importance of trust, an invaluable lesson in covenant fidelity that would echo throughout their history. As they wandered, Moses clung to the promise of restoration, his heart steady in God's assurance, even as he stood upon the peak of Nebo. beholding the land of promise he would not enter. "You shall be gathered to your people," he heard the voice of God remind him as his life drew to a close. In that moment, a glorious understanding enveloped him. A legacy of faith would spring forth in the hearts of his people, a covenant renewed from generation to generation. They would carry forth the divine promise, rooted in love, and reveal the wondrous works of God. And thus, the story of Israel continued to unfold, their journey one marked by wandering, yet guided by unwavering hope. God's sovereign plan transformed the despair of bondage into a living testament of faith, taught through trials that championed obedience and trust. In that day, Moses departed from this world, but he left behind the eternal echo of God's faithfulness, a call to all generations to remember that they are called to love Him, serve Him, and proclaim His glory. For the journey was not merely to a land, but towards a relationship, a destiny that would clasp the hearts of those who sought Him. As the sun began to set over the promised land, a new chapter awaited. The people of Israel, blessed and favored, were entrusted with the mission to reveal their God among all nations, to declare that His love endures forever, shaping the course of human history until the day when every knee would bow and every tongue confess the truth of the Lord. And in this truth lies the call. Each of us is weaving our story within the great tapestry of His sovereign plan. Even now, He invites you to join this living testament. Will you heed the call? If you have been moved by this narrative, subscribe now to stay closely connected to God's Word and more powerful stories. Hit that like button to spread the truth of His faithfulness through the algorithm. Leave your reflections in the comments letting us know how this story resonates with your journey of faith. And hurry, share this message with 5 friends who need to hear the truth of God's promises today. Don't wait another moment. Your voice can ignite hope in someone else's heart.